And by the way, hello me, meet the real me. That's right, guess what time it is? It's time for the Megadeth album rankings here on Metal Bent's Chronicles, and we're gonna go from 15 to 8. That's right, we're gonna split this in half, which I should have did with the Judas Priest discography video, or album ranking video I did, excuse me there. So the video's not dragged out too long, so let's just get right into it. Coming in at number 15. Pretty darn tough ranking these, to be honest, but I pretty much came to my conclusion of what number 15 is to me, and I can't really get into this album, I'm sorry. Yes, Megadeth's 13 from 2011. Sudden Death, Never Dead, and Millennium of the Blind are the only tracks on here I really care for, and New World Order. But Millennium of the Blind and New World Order are actually older tracks, written when Marty Friedman was still in Megadeth, but finally recorded onto this. So yeah, this album, yeah, it's like a mixture of like old tunes that were previously written and were put on soundtracks or bonus B-sides. Like Black Swan, for instance, was a leftover from United Abomination, which I think it's on the Japanese version of that album. Well, it's on here. Besides that, man, there's a lot of tracks on here that don't really grab me. I just find the lyrics to be pretty stupid. Yeah, and the rest of the tracks on here to me really sound like leftovers from Endgame or United Abomination. Yeah, I tried listening to this the other day, man. I still cannot get into this album in its entirety. And it's a pretty lengthy album for being a Megadeth album. My number 15, okay. Number 14, which would definitely be on anybody's list for being low. The 1999 album Risk. Man, I wanted to be excited for this album back when it came out in 1999. And I remember when Crush 'Em came out, I'm like, man, this song's not that good. And of course, WCW would use Crush 'Em for Bill Goldberg's theme music. But yeah, Crush 'Em came out before the album came out. I remember there was a radio station we had years ago called Quick Rock back where I used to live at. And they had some kind of nighttime show. I can't remember the name of the show off of the top of my head, but they had Megadeth interviewed on it. It was like a week before this came out. And I remember they were talking with Dave Mustaine and Dave Ellefson, and they were going through the track listing. And they played some stuff off of this album. I'm listening to it, I'm like, man, this really don't sound like Megadeth. Should I even bother buying this? But being a diehard Megadeth fan, I went out and bought it anyways. Very disappointing album. This is definitely Megadeth trying to cash in and go even more commercial, trying to be bigger than Metallica. This might have been okay if it wasn't released as a Megadeth album and just a Dave Mustaine album, but... And it would be Marty Friedman's final album and Jimmy D. Grasco's first album. Like, I'm just trying to think if there's anything on here I actually like. Oh man, Wanderlust is okay. I'll Be There is a pretty decent track. Time the Beginning I actually like, even though it's acoustic, but just forgettable. Not a good album. Overproduced. I mean, my god, they had the producer Buddy Krager, I believe, from Foreigner, who produced Foreigner's biggest hit, produce this. Yeah. And this album definitely pissed off a lot of fans. Up next, we got 2013's Super Collider. Again, not a very good album. Like the opening track on here, Kingmaker. Kingmaker sounds like Black Sabbath's Children of the Grave. Burn is just silly. You talk about silly bad lyrics by Dave Mustaine. Burn, baby, burn! Burn, baby, burn! Or whatever, you know. Built for War's alright. I'm just looking through here. Oh, Dance in the Rain. Dance in the Rain is probably the best track on here. Besides that, just a forgettable album. Up next, the album that was supposed to go back to being more metal, which technically did go back to being more metal, but not quite the metal we wanted from Megadeth at the time. I'm talking about 2001's A World Needs a Hero, the follow-up to 1990's disappointing commercial failure Risk. Megadeth's on a new label, Sanctuary. They're not on Capitol no more. Previous, though, a year before that, they released this compilation called Capital Punishments, which had two really cool songs on it that were definitely a return to form. Being Dread and the Fugitive Mind, which would end up on here, and Kill the King, which is just a killer track. Sadly, the rest of this album really isn't like that. Like Return to Hangar's, like Hangar 18 Part 2. I kind of enjoy it, but I prefer the original Hangar 18, obviously. When is a big ripoff of, you guessed it, Am I Evil by Diamond Head. Covered by Metallica, obviously. In the beginning of it, sounds like he's just using what he wrote on Call of Cthulhu, you know what I mean. A lot of forgettable songs on here. The track A World Needs a Hero is terrible. Trying to think here. Promises is a ballad. Oh, Moto Psycho's terrible. I prefer Ultimatum's version of Moto Psycho, to be honest. Oh, 1000 Times Goodbye is actually a pretty cool track. I like it. War Horse is alright. Again, just not a good album. Okay, up next we got 15, 14, 13, 12, coming in at number 11. Cryptic Writings. Used to really enjoy this album too when it came out. I mean, it's a good album. It's definitely more commercial, obviously, but there is a few pretty good thrashy tunes on here. Like Trust is a great song. I still like Trust. Used to Man I do like. The Disintegrators is a thrashy little short tune. I'll Get Even's pretty good. Almost Honest sounds more like a rock mainstream type of tune, obviously. Yeah. Mastermind's terrible. That's a terrible track. Sin's not very good. A Secret Place is way too poppy. Yeah, you get the drift. But She-Wolf, Vortex, and FFF, the last three tracks on here, are killer. Definitely the best tracks on this album. It's like near the end of the album, this is when the metal really picks up. Whew. It's kind of hard to rank these three. Because in at 10, in at number 10, I'm not good with numbers, people, I tend to forget. In at number 10, we got the 2004 comeback album. Much better than A World Needs a Hero. I'm talking about The System Has Failed. Black Melody Universe is a killer intro to the album. What a killer track. Die Dead and Up's pretty cool. I mean, back in the day, man, it's absolutely amazing. Definitely a thrashy tune. What else do we got on here? Truth Be Told, I really enjoy too. It gets really thrashy at the end. Yes. Kick the Chair. Yes, Kick the Chair. That's the track I was thinking of. Total Rust in Peace. Just pure speed thrash metal. Not a bad album, man. You know, it was a good comeback album for Dave Mustaine after being gone for a couple years because of his arm injury that prevented him from playing guitar. You know, pretty good stuff. Up next, man, so coming in at number 9, we got the 2007 album, United Abomination. Really good album. Really returned to the thrashy side. The weak part of this album naturally is the remake of A Tout Le Monde. A Tout Le Monde with Christina Scabia of Lacuna Coil. I just don't like this remake. It's terrible. But my God, you have great tracks on here like Sleepwalker. But Sleepwalker in a way is very similar to Black Melody Universe. The middle section of it really sounds like something off of Rust in Peace. Washington is Next is probably my favorite track on here. Play for Blood, excuse me. Very cool track. You know. Burnt Ice, the last track on here is tremendous. Yeah, man, good album. Great return to form, but I think the next album that comes in at number 8 is slightly better, and this is definitely Megadeth returning full throttle back into thrash for the most part. Still get a little bit of them Countdown to Extinction influences, but hey, I'm talking about this, Endgame. What a killer album. Dialectic Chaos, the opening track, the little instrumental is killer. You know, This Day We Fight is just full-on thrash. Very Rust in Peace-like. You know, you got 44 minutes, 13:20. Yeah, man, a lot of great tracks on here. Yeah, man, really good stuff. There's a track on here, though, where the middle section really sounds a lot like something off a Countdown to Extinction. In fact, I'm trying to think what track it is off the top of my head. Let's look in the booklet real quick, because oh yeah, Head Crusher is absolutely killer too. Now the Story Ends. Listen to Now the Story Ends, right? The solo section in there really reminds me of This Was My Life from Countdown to Extinction. In fact, it almost sounds identical. But yeah, Endgame comes in at number 8. That's part 1 of the Megadeth album ranking. Stay tuned for part number 2.